To give you the best exercises that you can use to get shredded, and we're gonna start right now. I'm Olympic strength coach Dane Miller, and I've coached at 2 different Olympic championships and over a dozen world championships. And one of the big aspects that I've noticed is that when you see shredded athletes, they are almost always doing some form of squatting. So the first, I'm nice and stiff. The first exercise that we can think about to get as shredded as possible is to make sure that we're back squatting full range of motion. If we're back squatting full range of motion, 1, we're gonna get stronger. 2, we're gonna have more time under tension, and that's gonna help us build up that lean muscle mass, okay? So let's say we do 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 sets. One of my favorite rep schemes that you can use, is 7 sets of 7 with about 1.5 minutes rest. Now, one of the other factors that I like to talk about is that if we have an elite athlete who needs to get shredded, let's just say a wrestler, okay? And one of the things I'll point out is that when I walked through and got to be around the wrestling group in Paris, all of the wrestlers were shredded. They all had about 10 to 12% body fat, okay? And I would say for most men, a lot of people say, oh, they don't have 10 to 12%, they have 6. Most of the time, if you've got about 10% body fat, that's when you see like a 4-pack or a 6-pack, okay? Anything below that, you're pretty freaking lean. So 10 to 12% body fat for men is where you can start. Now, one unique thing when you do back squats, okay? If we really wanna get shredded, I even like to incorporate some type of drop set that's gonna target the crap out of my glutes and my hamstrings. So, one thing we'll do is, like, let's say we do those 7 sets of 7 back squats and you're pushing close to failure, but you're not actually failing. Let's say you're like 1 or 2 reps away. Oh yeah. The big factor there, okay, we push close to failure, then we do a drop set that's unilateral, and the one big action is that you have to be very stable. And again, you can push this, like, let's say 5 to 10 reps on each side to really dial in and target that lean muscle mass throughout the glutes and throughout the hamstrings. Because you're in a unilateral position, your body's just a little bit more aware and it's gonna recruit more effectively. One of the other things I would also wanna bring up around being shredded. Okay, we're gonna do those back squats and we're gonna do that drop set of single leg squats. We know that we gotta get to about 10 to 12% body fat for men. For women, it's gonna be around 20%, maybe a little bit lower, but not much lower than 20% body fat for women. And then the other factor is that we should be in a caloric deficit. So around a 200 to a 400 caloric deficit based off of how much we're burning on a daily basis. Now, days that you have big lifts, let's say that you have that stable or balanced consumption versus burn, but for the most part, I would recommend being in some type of caloric deficit. Now, we're gonna get into 2 other exercises to help you guys get shredded. Okay, the next 2 exercises that we need to start to target is going to be something that's gonna blow up our quads. And that's bringing back the old school classic leg extension. Everybody hated this exercise for about 20 years. And now there's a whole bunch of research that if we're smashing leg extensions for pretty high reps, you're gonna get big freaking quads. I think it's specifically the rectus femoris. Now, if I do like a set of 17 to 25 reps here, I wanna get close to failure, but not full failure, because I wanna make sure that I can get 5, 6 sets of leg extensions. So we need to make sure that we're getting enough volume over that. And one other aspect that we can add in is that if we lean back a little bit here, we're going to stretch that quad quite a bit and contract. Lean here, stretch, contract, stretch, contract. So you can do that for like 17 to 25 reps. Then we're gonna walk over here. Now, I like to use another compound movement in conjunction with those leg extensions. So this might be like a snatch grip RDL or a normal traditional RDL. So we can get set in place here, okay? Get the decent grip, come down, have some knee flexion, come back up. Up. Ooh. Ooh. One more. And I like to superset these 2, okay? You're gonna blow up your quads, hit that close to failure, come over here, you can hit this, put some more weight on here, get some big time mechanical tension. It's gonna build your strength, build your muscle mass over a very long period of time, and it's gonna help you get more swole. Now, one of the big factors that we use inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength, is that we have programs built out specifically for athletic fitness. So when we have somebody come to us who's a retired athlete, let's say they just stopped playing sports in high school or they just stopped playing sports in college, one of the programs that we use inside of Peak Strength to get you as shredded as possible is going to be our athletic fitness program. You can get into athletic fitness and select that you want to focus on building your muscle, building your strength, building your endurance, improving your overall speed. And when you select that priority, it's going to give you the right workouts that you need to get as shredded as possible. So head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. You can download Peak Strength today, and you're gonna see exercises like these next two movements that you can use today to go get shredded. Okay, so the next two exercises are gonna be upper body focus. I like to set up an upper body workout or an upper body pairing first with those big lifts, okay? So we're gonna do something here on the incline, but I wanna use a strategy to create a little bit more lengthening, which in turn should lead to more muscular growth over a long period of time. So let's say we grab the 80s here, we get on the incline, and I wanna use some type of stretch mediation, okay? So if I warm up properly, I can get here, I can go nice and stretched, nice and lengthened, get a little bounce and come up. Now, the reason why I want to use the incline bench is because I want to build a little bit bigger shelf for my pecs, bigger shoulders, and lengthen the crap out of my triceps, okay? So if we can use that position with that stretch mediation, let's say we do 4 or 5 sets there, and then we can add in 1 or 2 drop sets if we want. But remember, we still don't want to go entirely to failure. We need to make sure that the entire workout, we have enough energy to continue to increase volume or at least sustain our volume throughout that workout. So you hit the dumbbell incline with that stretch mediation, and then we get to the next exercise to help you get as shredded as possible. Okay, so we slaughter on the incline, right? Then you come over here, you rest for about a minute, and we'll get on a pull-up bar. And I like to go here where we go full lengthening right here. Okay, so we hold this bottom position, come up, do a little quarter rep, come down, lengthen and stretch. Okay, let's do that again. We'll go up, all the way down, okay? Up, all the way down, and then one more. Up, all the way down. So if we do those 2 exercises back and forth, 5 to 7 sets, your back, your buys, your rhomboids will get freaking super, super swole. And then with the incline, that big stretch on the pecs and on the delts will happen. Now, we have 2 more upper body exercises before we get into some of the core, some of the cardio stuff. And the last 2 upper body exercises will get you a stupid pump. Okay, so the last pairing with just the upper body, we're gonna use some pre-fatigue. So we're using exercises that you can really dial in and target monster muscle growth, and then we're using some of those specific tactics. Okay, think about the stretch mediation on the incline. Think about that lean back, that little stretch mediation that we got on the leg extensions. And now here with pre-fatigue, I've always struggled with small biceps, okay? So one thing that I always like to do is if I feel small and I feel bad about my entire life, one thing I'll do is I'll get on the incline, or not the incline, get on the preacher, okay? Hit something reasonable, like 17 to 20 reps. Try and really feel the contraction through the biceps. Okay, here, pre-fatigue those biceps. One more. Now, I want to do that with another movement that will use some bigger muscles, meaning our lats, rhomboids, and that's going to be a seated row. Okay, so again, I want to take this seated row very, very close to failure. So let's say if I did 3 sets, I go preacher, seated row, like 25 to 30 reps. Just get a dummy pump, stupid pump. Rest for about a minute. Let's say I want to do 3 total sets. I'm only resting for about a minute between the entire grouping. And then on the last set, commit to going to failure here and going to failure here. So that way the volume will still be enough for you to grow, okay, to get as big and as shredded as possible. But because we're going to failure on just that last set, we're still pushing a ton to get a large metabolic response. So we'll go here. Finish with this, rest about a minute, get back to the preachers, and keep pushing that, get a ton of volume in. And then we can finish this workout with 2 different options. We're gonna give you some core stuff, and we're gonna give you some cardio, because we need to make sure that we're getting that caloric burn. Okay, so my first favorite exercise to get as shredded as possible in your core is going to be a movement known as pass the plate. So if we get set on our glutes right here, okay, come overhead, come up, come back down. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's say you do that in a time situation. You could do like 2 sets of 60 seconds. You could do 2 sets of 17 each way, okay? It's one of my favorite numbers. Comment down below why we use that. Now, another exercise after you do the pass the plate is going to be a glute ham ab. This is sort of like a mainstay of the CrossFit world. I'm gonna tell you right now, I cannot do glute ham abs or the crunches that CrossFitters do. When they do that exercise, it is absolutely insane. You'll feel it in your hips and your abs will be lit up. Now, one issue I have is the reason why I don't like to do it is I always feel like I'm gonna get a hernia. Like, full disclosure, when I feel that, I'm like, I'm good right here. I don't need to go any further. I've never had one and hopefully I don't develop one. So I will do glute ham abs like this. So I'll come back, boom, 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 boom. Those crazies will go a little bit deeper. Yeah, I don't wanna do that. Here, boom, okay? Again, CrossFitters will go all the way down to the floor and then come back up. I think that's fine as long as you feel healthy, as long as you can handle that through your trunk, through your abs. One of the final aspects around getting shredded, we talked about that caloric burn, okay? We talked about making sure that we're trying to get to a specific body fat percentage. We don't have to get down there, but if you really wanna get shredded, you pretty much do need to get to a certain point if you want to be shredded, okay? We gave you all these specific exercises. And then one of the things that we incorporate inside of the athletic fitness program in Peak Strength is that we're trying to look at, can you get 120 minutes a week of like zone 2 cardio? So let's just say your heart rate is at 140 beats per minute, and we want to get like 120 minutes throughout the week. So you could do 2 60-minute clips where your cardio is at that heart rate of about 140 beats per minute. And then finally, one extra would be for 20 minutes out of the week, we want to do some type of interval work. And interval work that we look at will be like anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes at a very, very high heart rate. Okay, so that would be, let's use the example of 3 7-minute goes. This is something that we're using right now with our wrestling program at South Dakota State. We'll actually do 3 7-minute goes on the assault bike or 2 7-minute goes on the assault bike, and we measure the calories and the meters in that 7-minute time frame and see if we can improve them over a long period of time. But that's going to be about 20 minutes of a high intensity interval setup. So make sure that you use all these different tactics, use drop sets, use that stretch mediation, you make sure that you're following through with those big time exercises along with some type of isolation, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion or shredded, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.